Hi, my name is Tony, and I've known Kevin for several months now, and I met him um, just through situations in life and some hardships that were coming up, and I needed somebody to talk to and work through some of those issues. And I had heard about Kevin's ministry and decided to take some time and go see him and talk to him. And one of the first things that appealed to me about Kevin's ministry and his methods is he focuses on biblical principles and how those biblical principles can help you in life to view things differently and have different perspectives on things that are happening in life and how to work through them. One of the first things that he talked to me about is how to apologize biblically, and that basically entails own your stuff, own the issues that you have, own your behaviors, and admit to them and own them, and then ask the other person for forgiveness. And that's different than the way we generally apologize. We generally make a lot of excuses and things like that, and so it's not really a very sincere apology, and it doesn't do much for the other person especially. But when you own your part of it and then apologize and ask for forgiveness, that's really your part in it, and then it's really up to the other person as to whether they want to forgive. And so it gives you some amount of peace in dealing with situations where you've made mistakes. One of the principles that Kevin taught me is around the idea of judging other people. And there's really two forms of judgment. One is discernment, which we are absolutely called to discern situations as we go through life. But the other one is judgment and the other form of judgment is condemnation, and we're not qualified to condemn. Christ never condemned anybody. In fact, he didn't come to condemn the world. He came to save the world, and that's a really important principle, because as situations happen in life and we experience pain, your natural reaction is to want to condemn someone else or condemn yourself. And that really doesn't do anything to bring you peace. Understanding that principle, when something happens and you catch it before before just after you start to condemn somebody else, really kind of helps you to step back and take a look at that situation. And one of the criteria to think about is, did that person do anything morally wrong? And if they didn't do anything morally wrong, then you really have no reason to judge them. In that case, you just need to understand that the situation caused you some emotions, and just let it go, and accept that situation. And that's another concept that really helped me most recently, is the idea of acceptance. We're going to have times in life where we experience pain and sorrow, and in my case, I was experiencing some really deep sorrow, and knowing that I couldn't judge or condemn other people, I just had to accept it. And soon after I just accepted that there's going to be pain and sorrow, and especially in this situation, God gave me a real sense of peace, and I was able to let go of that situation. And so that whole concept of acceptance is a really important principle to understand. And Jesus demonstrated that on the cross. Even though he was going through all that pain on the cross, he accepted his fate, and then he also said, "Father, don't judge them, for they know not what they do." And so even on the cross, he didn't condemn the people that were putting him to death on the cross. He just accepted his faith, and that's just a really important principle that's helped me a lot in life. Another principle that Kevin talks about is triggers and emotions. We're going to have situations in life where things are going to trigger us, and that's going to create emotions, and emotions are going to well up in us. And it's really important that you own your triggers and you own your emotions. because if you allow other people to own your triggers and own your emotions, then they can control you, and they can control how you react to situations. But if you really focus on owning those triggers and owning your emotions, then basically you have control over how you're going to react to situations. In one of the discussions that I had with Kevin, we were talking about triggers and owning your triggers and your emotions and not judging people and just accepting that you're going to have pain and sorrow. And so my question to him is, what do you do with that pain and sorrow? And his response was, you just need to accept it. And so then my follow-on question was, what do you do in situations where, the same types of things keep happening and keep triggering you and you keep having emotions, especially when you're in a situation where the other person is morally wrong. And the concept that he introduced to me there was the concept of boundaries. And in situations like that, you may need to put a boundary in place. And, that boundary is an agreement between you and that other person as to how you're going to handle a situation. And even if what they were doing wasn't morally wrong, but it's causing triggers and causing you to have emotions, you can put a boundary in place. And once you establish that boundary, if that other person breaks that boundary, then it does become a moral issue. And there are other ways to deal with that. That's one area that Kevin and I haven't gotten to yet, is how to deal with it when your boundaries have been broken, and how to work through that. So a lot of these principles that I'm learning are already starting to help me and help me deal with situations in life, even to the point where other people are seeing the peace that I have, even though I've got a lot of issues going on in life right now, and I've been able to communicate some of these principles to other people and see it have an effect on their lives. And so that's really rewarding, that God is helping me, and even through the situations that I'm going through, he's giving me the opportunity to minister to other people, because they're seeing how those principles are affecting me and helping me to have peace even in difficult situations.